brake fluid flush is the process of replacing the existing old brake fluid with new clean fluid. In comparison, brake bleeding is the process of removing air bubbles from the hydraulic brake system of a vehicle. Both jobs involve opening the brake caliper bleeder valves, aka bleeder screws, but the reason for doing so is different. When bleeding, the valves are opened in order to allow air to escape along with some of the brake fluid, whereas when a flush is being done, the purpose is to remove old fluid, as there really shouldn't be any air in the lines. A brake fluid flush is a relatively simple job that can be done by almost anyone who's a little bit mechanically inclined. With the required items on hand, next, locate the master cylinder reservoir under the hood of your car. Before removing its cap, first dust off the area so as to not get any dirt inside the reservoir. After removing the lid, reach in and remove the filter that's inside. Brake fluid is damaging to paint and other metal surfaces, so cover everything around your reservoir with rags and be careful not to drip any brake fluid. Using a syringe, extract the old brake fluid from the master cylinder's reservoir until it goes down to the minimum line marked on the reservoir. For me, this ended up being about 5 ounces. With clean brake fluid, next, top off the reservoir to the maximum line. Contrary to conventional wisdom, Nissan says the Frontier should be bled in a crisscross pattern, starting with the passenger side rear wheel. Since we're doing a flush and not a bleed, it probably doesn't matter which wheel caliper we start with, but we'll use the suggested crisscross pattern. With your bleeder bottle on hand and a little bit of old brake fluid in the bottom of it, locate the right rear caliper bleed valve, which will be at the top of the caliper and pointing toward the center of the vehicle. Remove the rubber cap from the bleeder and with the box end of the 10mm wrench, loosen the bleeder valve. With the valve snugged back up, insert the clear hose over the bleeder valve. Elevate the hose so some of it is above the bleeder valve. Have your partner pump the brakes and then hold the pedal down to the floor on the 4th pump. Open the valve a quarter of a turn and let the pressure drain some of the fluid out. Close the valve and have your partner let off the brake pedal. Then repeat this process until clear fluid begins to exit the tube. Never allow the fluid in the master cylinder to drop below the minimum line. Check it occasionally and keep it topped off to the maximum line. The end of the hose running into your bleeder bottle should be immersed in the old brake fluid. That way, no air can inadvertently be sucked back into the system. When removing the hose from the bleeder valve, ensure that you don't drip any of the brake fluid on anything around. Keep the end of the hose elevated and that will prevent that. Before moving on to the next caliper, double check that the bleeder valve is tight and replace the rubber cap over it. Working with a partner makes this job much easier, but it is possible to do this job solo using the bleeder valve bottle that I've suggested in this video. If working alone, hook up the hose in the same manner as you've seen here in this video, then go and pump the brake yourself 3 or 4 times, and then check your bleeder bottle and check the level in your reservoir. On the 2nd generation Frontier, the rear bleeder valves are a lot easier to access than the front bleeder valves. However, in either case, the wheels do not need to be removed. And in both cases, the bleeder valves point towards the center of the vehicle. The difference on the front is that the brake line sort of interferes with opening and closing of the valve. The flush process explained in this video likely doesn't flush out the ABS module. I'll link to a video in the description that explains how to flush out the ABS. You'll also want to read the description for other helpful information that I've included there. After flushing at the 4th caliper, return to the master cylinder and make sure it's topped off. During this entire process, always leave the cap on the reservoir except for when you're adding fluid. The final step is to test drive the vehicle to ensure it brakes properly. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this helpful, and please don't hesitate to leave a comment or ask a question. Have a great day.